Handling the spouse objection. So, how to handle this when it comes up at the end of your demo, but really, I'm going to give you a comprehensive way to handle it before it even comes up. So, what is the best way to handle an objection before it comes up? So, let's talk about doing that from the very beginning. You will get this a lot. This is a normal objection that we have as Cutco reps. So, first way to handle it is on the phone from the very beginning. So, when you talk about, hey, will your spouse be there or will your husband be there? Okay. So many times they say no. So it's good to get them there by saying, well, first of all, understanding they will buy more often if they are both there. The husbands like the bigger knives. They definitely like the steak knives, the hunting and fishing knives. So they're going to be tied in. They also really like quality. So it's going to be helpful to have them both there. So if possible, and the wife understands this, will then get them both there and just move the appointment around if you need to. A phrase I would say is, I get double credit if you're both there. So the wife's like, oh, okay, honey, we want to get you double credit. Totally. I'll make sure he's there. The worst is when you're on a demo, the husband was right downstairs or he's out in the backyard and you do a demo and she wants a homemaker and she goes in 5 seconds and asks him if he wants to get it when you just spent 45 minutes building the value and selling her on it. So you want to make sure the husband is there, the spouse is there. And that's not going to happen 100% of the time. By you doing this ahead of time and getting them there, you will double your selling ratio and average order when they're both there. So that's first of all what to do. Second of all, when you're on the demo, you want to build rapport and strategically build some rapport about the husband, about what they do. So if they can't be there, so now we're at this point, you couldn't get them there, and it's just with the wife, which is going to happen. So ask what he does. Ask what some of his hobbies are. Why? Because when you use that, you can use that as ammo later. Because he's probably spending thousands of dollars on either his golfing hobby or his sports hobbies or his car hobbies or his hunting hobbies, right? His boating hobbies. They're spending thousands on some of their hobbies. So guess what? Cooking in the kitchen is the wife's hobbies and also helps the family because there's better meals and a happier wife. Okay, so that is right there. You build some rapport there. Then as you go into setting up the demonstration and you're kind of setting the tone for the demonstration, hopefully you're doing a power intro. If you haven't learned about that, ask your manager. But right here where you say we also have interest-free monthly investment options, so you don't have to pay for it all at once. And I'm able to give you the best deal possible on whatever you decide to get today. So you're setting it up for later. That's what this page does. So if the husband is not there, you definitely want to say something about handling the husband objection. So I would say something like, this is great, by the way, Mrs. Jones, for a lot of my demos with just the wife. They don't have to spend everything all at once. So if you do decide to buy Cutco at the end of this demo, you can split up into 5 payments, no interest. Just put down a down payment. Try it out with your husband. Which, how long do you think would be a good enough time to try something out? Cool. We actually have a 15-day money back guarantee policy to really try it out with your husband. Make sure he likes it. And if you don't like anything in it, you can return it for a full refund. Or just even those pieces, which I'll get into later. But you go through that and set that up. So just say, hey, a lot of my customers do 5-month interest-free monthly investment options. That way they can try it out with their husband. Just plant the seed there. Then when you get to the forever guarantee, right? So you talk about it in the demo, in the video, pause that. Make sure you're pausing the video and you're saying, isn't that guarantee amazing? Did you see all the parts of it? Great. So plant the seed for the guarantee. And then you get to all the pieces. Ask a little bit more about what he likes to cook as well. So you can tie in some of these bigger pieces that maybe she doesn't use as much, but he would like. Also talk about the steak knives for sure. Build up, does your husband normally do some of the cooking and cutting of the turkey and some big roasts in that? Well, hey, he's going to love these. So tie it into what he's going to like. Talk about the steak knives. And a lot of guys like the bigger, manly steak knives as well. And then you get to this section with the guarantee. So make sure, again, they're staring at this screen. Make sure they are understanding this. And if the husband's not there, make sure you take a moment to just read through these especially this one. So like I said earlier, Mrs. Jones, we do that 15-day unconditional money back guarantee, which I like to call our husband clause. And that's where at any time within the 15 days after the receipt of your Cutco product, like after you receive it, you can return it for full refund or just those pieces. So once you get your product in a week or two, he can try it out with you, right? And then that way, if he doesn't like some pieces, you can return it for a full refund. So that helps him out right there. And then when you get to the closing, okay, and then if you get, so how do you handle an objection is before it comes up. So if you do, nothing beats a great demo with enthusiasm, with confidence. And if you're not doing that, the spouse guarantee could just be, or the spousal objection could just be an excuse because they feel bad saying no to you to your face, right? Quite honestly, I do that with events a lot. And sometimes with buying things like, oh, I got to talk to my wife about it. And really, I know I just don't want to do it, but I'm going to I'm going to say that. I don't do it as much, but it's still a cop out. So it really, you want to get to the main objection. And sometimes their concern is something else of money or too many pieces. They're like, oh, I'll talk to my husband, when really she just isn't interested. So do a great demo, build value, believe in yourself, and have confidence. Now, if they do have the husband objection again, you bring these up and you go, I need to talk to the spouse or husband. By the way, if they say I'm going to buy later, if they bring it up to their husband, it's never a sale. It's never going to happen. And again, she's going to go to her husband in 30 to 60 seconds and explain what you did in about 45 minutes, building up all the value. So very important to make sure if you get to this point that you are doing everything you can to handle this objection, okay, by saying, oh, I completely understand. That's why most use the 15-day trial, right? That husband clause I talked about earlier, to make sure you really can see the value. If he doesn't, if he doesn't love it, you can send it back and get a full refund. On the 5-month plan, you can both try it out today for about, $400, let's say. How does that sound? So that way she's not spending like almost $2,000 without asking her husband. It's only spending $400, which, by the way, that is completely normal. $400 is completely normal. Spouses spend that all the time without talking to their significant others. Okay, my wife just recently spent, it was like $700 on a red light therapy mask and a hat. She's like, well, it was on sale. It's normally $1,500. So they're going to do that. Your parents and your customers are all doing that. So spending $400 now as a down payment is nothing. It's an average grocery bill. It is nothing. Some stats for you, by the way, too, because some of this is just, 20% is like skill-based on what you're saying. 80% of your success in most things is just psychology and what you believe. So let me give you some stats here. Are you aware that the average couple without kids is spending about $7,400 a month, and the average family with 2 kids is spending about $9,000 a month? So $7,000 to $10,000 a month is just coming in and out every single month. Are you aware of that? That is just what's being spent. So whether it's $7,400 this month or $7,800 this month, is that going to make or break anything? Definitely not. So you have to believe that. Also, for credit card debt, typical married couples, this is, thank you, ChatGPT, typically, right? But a combined balance of $12,000 to $19,000 on their credit card. They don't carry a balance at all, but the average American has $12,000 to $19,000 on their credit card. Why? Because they buy things that they want, and they get it because they emotionally want it. It's going to make their life better. That's just a simple fact. So whether their credit card is $12,000 or $12,400 doesn't matter. Also, the median household income is about $83,000. Okay, so I'd venture to guess for most people on our team that is roughly about 10 times the amount you are used to earning. Give or take, college students, right? I don't know your personal situation, but typically it's 10 times as much. So that means if they're spending $2,000 on a set of Cutco, it is exactly how you feel about spending $200, and how they feel, how Mrs. Jones feels about spending $400 a month is exactly how you feel about spending $40. Okay, my final stat here is that it's interesting how men will spend $1,200 before consulting their spouse, while women on average, it's about $400. Look at that. What do you know? Many couples set an informal spending limit under which they don't feel obligated to consult with each other for roughly $300 to $500. What do you know? That sounds just like the amount it is to split up, a decent sized Cutco set over 5 months. What do you know? Even if they aren't sure on the homemaker, okay, so now dropping down to something smaller, I'd rather have you get a sale today than a promise for tomorrow. So now your next bet is that you want to drop down to a combo of pieces. Go, cool. So how much, and it's okay to ask, hey, so how much do you feel comfortable with spending without your husband? And I'd also ask, is that your really only concern? Like, would you get the homemaker set? Okay. And you see yourself using it, like you totally get it. If he said yes, you'd be down. Awesome. So that's awesome, Mrs. Jones. Now, if she's like, well, he might think it's too much, or like you can ask, like, what do you think his concern is? All right, well, it might be too many pieces or too much. Well, then you get her real objection that you can go through and handle right then. But if you get all the way down, I would much rather have you drop down to what they really want now and that she can for sure get. Again, using the $400 number, you can drop down to a normal average order of getting 4 or 5 pieces, giving them a deal, and helping her get something today. So I drop down to one of these combos, still do a full demo, still read through all the smaller options. Sometimes it's a smoke screen and they're using the husband as a cop out when really it's too many pieces or too much money for them. You go down to a galley or starter set, they're like, oh, I'll take that one, right? So when it comes to these, I'd drop down to a combo where she's spending, $400-ish. And then she can go, perfect. What's great is you can try this out now. You can get it within a couple weeks, try it out with your husband. As he loves them and he's impressed, then you can upgrade to the rest of the homemaker set. Okay? That's what I would do always. And then as a last resort, if she's still like, oh my gosh, I really want this though. I know I just got to clear it with him. I would not leave it up to chance. I would schedule a demo with her and him again, and then do a demo, like a summed up demo with him, and walk him through some of the things. So you can at least get like 30 minutes with him. And I'd sell that at the end with Mrs. Jones. Like, cool. So you're really sure about the homemaker. You really don't want to get these pieces right now, but you want a bigger set. Cool. Well, obviously, you know how great it is. I know how great it is. Your husband doesn't. If you let me do my job, like, we're a team here, right? We want to help get this homemaker. So when is he available next? When can we set up a quick time? I can just kind of review some of this stuff with him, and then you do a demo with him. And then you make sales. So this handles the spousal objection. Now you know how to do it. Happy selling, and let's sell some big sets.